All right, everyone, here is the demo on how to create a template for your soft slab textured box. I'm going to start with some heavier duty paper. Cardstock is the best, but you might be able to get away with using like a cereal box, one wall of a cereal box, and drawing on the inside of it. I'm using a square. You can also use a triangle or something that has a perfect 90-degree corner to make sure that you have precise measurements. And then I am measuring for mine. This template is going to start with a 4-inch square box. So I'm checking to make sure I've got all the measurements correct and that they're all 90-degree corners. And then I'm going to make sure I measure halfway because I'm going to extend a line up from each of these walls to kind of give me the idea of how high I want my walls to be from the base. So I'm measuring halfway, 2 inches, keeping it simple. From 4 inches, 2 inches, and then I'm going to make sure I mark that for every single wall or every single edge, and then I'm going to take my square again and make sure it's a perpendicular line all the way around, going straight up from that wall. And I'm going to go about 3 inches, make sure I measure it, make sure everything's lined up properly, and I'm going to go 3 inches from each side of that square. And I want to make sure that that's perfectly 90 degrees perpendicular to the edge of the square. Now I'm going to start creating the parallel line that I need to have going along with the square, and I'm going to do some measurements from the corners to make sure that everything is parallel with each other. So this is the important part. You want to make sure you do this on whatever shape you're trying to do, whatever shape you start with. It could be a square like mine, or it could be a triangle, it could be a rectangle, it could be an octagon, a pentagon, hexagon, whatever you want to do, but the same principles apply. So I'm marking right from the corner the same 3-inch height off of my square, and I want to make sure I do it on both sides so that I can connect those dots and create a nice parallel line with my 4-inch wall below, or my edge of my square down below. So do all 4 of those, and then what we'll do is we'll measure from that center line the same distance from both sides. And I'm going to do this as a 1.5 inch, and the other side as well, 1.5 inch. So now I'm creating a wall or an edge at the top of my box idea that's going to be 3 inches in length, and the bottom is going to be 4 inches length. So it's going to taper in a little bit as it gets higher up the wall. Now I'm just connecting my dots to my corners of my square, and I'm going to do that on all 3 remaining sides. So 1.5 inches from the center out both directions, left and right. Make all those marks first. Make sure you measure precisely. And then after you've got all the marks, connect the mark to the corner of the square down below. And eventually you'll have all 4 walls exactly the same height and dimension and shape, so that when you cut out your slab using this as a template, you'll make sure that everything is going to line up just right. So if it helps, you can always mark and make sure you have something to read in the sense of your measurements to kind of make sure that everything is lining up properly. So the idea now is just to go ahead and take a pair of scissors and carefully cut the border out and get rid of all the excess paper that you don't need. I tend to cut the exact same direction every time, so I can see my line as I cut. Helps me keep things nice and straight and nice and clean. So just carefully work away around the entire outside edge. Be cautious about going too far into the template and the corners right there. You want to be careful about that. But it should still work just fine if you accidentally go a little bit too far into one of the lines. And once it's cut all the way out, you've got a stencil or a template that you can use for as many as you want, or just the one that we need to make for this project. But you can make this over and over and over again with more and more slabs. And that's about it. Good luck.